Good evening and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Egbe, and this evening in my kitchen we're going to be making owo soup. If you are from Nigeria, you will know that owo soup is a staple amongst the Urhobo people, especially in the from Delta State. So any area people in the house are Heluna. Alright, the ingredients you need for this owo soup is your tomatoes, onions. Onions is very important. If you want your owo soup to be really thick, you add more onions. So I'm going to be using these whole onions. So I'm going to use bonga fish, my dry fish, and I have some fresh fish here, and I have grinded crayfish that I'm also going to use. And these are my condiments to spice my fish and spice my food. And you need palm oil. Palm oil is used. You can't use groundnut oil. You have to use palm oil to make owo soup. And the main star of the day that really thickens the owo soup is potash. If you are from Nigeria, we call it Akanwu. I'm from Benin, and we call it Akanwu. Potash is very important because this is going to bring about the thickening effect of your owo and give it that distinct taste known to Urhobo people. All right, let's go. All right, guys. Before I start blending my tomatoes and onions, I'm going to go ahead and soak my bonga fish and my dry fish with some hot water. I'm using this so that if there's any sand, I can wash it. It can wash off easily, and this can take off the skin of the bonga fish, and it just softens the bonga fish and it gives me that satisfaction that my fish is clean. Okay, I will keep this one soaked and I will start my blending. Okay guys, you can see that my tomatoes and onions has been well blended. So now I'm just going to add my condiments. I'm going to add a teaspoon of pepper. Then I'm going to add my tablespoon of crayfish in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a teaspoon of salt. Not even up to a full teaspoon of salt, because the deal is with the knorr that I'm going to use as my spicy agent already have salt in it. So when you put a full whole teaspoon of salt, your food is going to end up being too salty. So, and I'm adding a teaspoon of knorr in there too. Alright, so I'm just going to stir this together and put it on the stove for it to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay guys, my tomatoes, onions and all my condiments have been cooking on the stove for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead now and add my fish to it. I'm going to go ahead and add my fish, my fresh fish, and I also use that time to wash my dry fish. So you can see the bonga fish has been deboned, though there's still a little bone in it. So if you have little kids, be mindful, kind of be watchful when they are eating it, or just don't give them the bonga fish, just give them the fresh fish. So, and my dry fish also, I removed the bone from them and I washed them up. So now I'm going to also add that into my tomatoes that has been boiling on the stove. So now I'm going to let this cook together for the remaining part of the 15 minutes. Alright guys, now that my fish and tomatoes have been cooking for about 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add the edible potash, also known as Akanwu. So this one is too big for that amount of owo that I'm cooking, so I'm going to break it. So I'm using my chopping board and my rolling pin. So if you have anything that you like to use that is hard enough to break it with, go ahead. Alright. Okay guys, see I split my potash. I split it with actually that rolling pin did not work, so I ended up using a hammer to split it into the size I wanted, and I kind of grinded them into little particles. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer that into my owo. So that potash is what is going to make it turn to give it that owo flavor. and you can see it bubbling up. That is the potassium effect. So you see how that is going to bubble up like that, and it's going to thicken up. And I'm just going to let this kind of cook into the fish and the tomatoes for about 5 minutes, and I'm going to take it off the stove. And you can see that I also reduce my heat. So I reduce my heat. Whenever I open the pot, I reduce it, because if you don't do that, it's just gonna keep splashing all over the place, and I don't want that. All right. Okay guys, I've added a potassium for about 5 minutes now. So I turned off my stove, and I'm going to let this cool down a little bit. And when it cools down, then we finish it up by adding the palm oil. The palm oil is going to turn this red and make it really thicken up. Okay guys, now that my owo is off the stove for about 5 minutes, so it's a little bit cool. It's not as hot as it was on top of the stove. So you can see that I have my palm oil in my spoon. I'm just going to add it to my owo. So, and that is going to give it that final owo effect. So this is a delicious meal. Eat it with plantain, eat it with starch, correct. Yam, you will live to remember your robo friend that invited you to their house. So this is a very delicious meal, and I hope you reenact it in your kitchen. And I'm also going to show you how I use it to eat my own plantain. Alright guys, this is the final product of my owo soup. This owo soup process takes about 30 minutes to make. It's very easy, very delicious, and trust me, if you eat this food, then you will live to remember. If you are married to an Urobo man and you don't know how to cook this food, you better go and learn sharp, you know. Well, this food is really delicious, you know, to be frank and sincere. And thanks to Mama Deli that always made this food at our wedding. It was the bomb, sapling. So all right, as I'm about to do in my own kitchen, I'm going to work this thing sharp with plantain. So to all my previous subscribers, thank you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do, and please share my videos in all social platforms: Facebook, WhatsApp, Tango. And thanks to my future subscribers too, and have a blessed day. Bye bye.